also discussed that one yesterday, right? Did we discuss this? Or it is possible to plant and do multiple operations in the same day. So if you assume that in a specific area or a specific field of yours, there are two different crops planted at the same time. Yeah. So, for example, this is the plantation time for this case for corn, right? And in the same day, let me say that I have another plantation for cabbage. I'm intercropping corn and cabbage. Then you use the same year, the same month, the same date, and the same plantation, but what is changing is the crop ID. So I have another crop ID. For example, if I assume I'm planting cabbage with the corn, cabbage is 53. So I put 53 here, okay? And I need to provide the potential heat unit for cabbage itself. So after calculating, you have seen the heat unit calculator, right? Heat unit calculator, you put planting and harvesting date for the cabbage, and let's say we have 1500 for this case, let's say, and so we have 0, for example. So I'm doing this the same, and in OPV file I put the plantation density. Let's say for corn is previous one is 60. I'm not sure what that 60 means. 60 is onion. 60 is onion. So let's use onion 6, cabbage 4. So this plantation density depends on your own field. So I did a plantation on the same day. That means the model assumes the same plants are planted on the same field, and they compute for water, they compute for nutrient, they compute for sunlight. And that will have an effect on water balance components and also on the yield. Yeah. So if you see on the result, for example, on the baseline, yesterday we have run, okay? For example, for corn you get it corn, and if you have cabbage, you will have cabbage on the same year. Okay, so 1990 you have corn and cabbage in the same year. It will repeat the year and then provide you cabbage on the second year, on the same year. So you have 2 years in the same year from the same place, but that will have an effect on the potential heat because of the intercropping and because of the competition for water, nutrient, and sunlight. Good. So if you remember, yesterday we had a tomato, right? We have tomato of automatic irrigation, right?
Yeah.
So automatic irrigation. So in this case, we have an automatic irrigation, and we trigger automatic irrigation here and end up here. So in this case, it will not allow any water stress. So whenever there is a deficit from the field capacity, it will supply irrigation, that we say. But uh, let's say we'd like to see how the tomato is behaving if we supply 25% deficit irrigation. 25% deficit irrigation means so automatic irrigation will be supplied when the moisture reaches 75% of the field capacity. right? So in this case, you do the same here. It's automatic irrigation. You start from planting to harvest, but what you are going to modify is in the sub area file. In the sub area file, you go to your sub area, okay? You go to your sub area, and here, so we have the irrigation code. So we use 2 furrow irrigation, for example. 0 is flexible, and in BIR, water stress factor, okay, water stress factor, and you put 1 minus the deficit level. So the point to trigger automatic irrigation, okay, you provide 0.75. Now the model assumes that you are allowing 25% deficit in your irrigation, okay. So the operation file is the same. Okay, we just provide here that 0.75 to trigger automatic irrigation. Okay, you write it and then run the model. You can see now if there is a water stress with 25% deficit level. ACY file is the water balance. So let's move to ACY. So in water stress, there is, you don't see that much water stress. There's no water stress. Even if we allow 25% deficit. So that means it doesn't have an effect on yield reduction if you apply 25% deficit.
Maybe because of the type of planting. Yeah. If our planting coincides with the rainy season.
So if it's a rainy season, so you will not use irrigation.
In this case also, maybe if it coincides, otherwise we may have some water stress days.
Also. Let's see. So let me. So we had this tomato, right?
The operation plan.
The tomato. Did we select the tomato operation file from the area? Read 139. Let us check what does 139 mean from ops.dat. From the ops.dat file, so 139 is a call. It is 141. Tomato is 141. So we were using, as you said, we were using rainy season. So we need to make sure that we select the right operation file. So we get to sub area and we need to change this to 141, right? And we need to make sure that it is still 7.5% deficit irrigation. Let's run. Now let's see. Tomato. Still there is no water stress.
Check the color.
it's not a must to have a water stress with 25% deficit.
Now let's check the planting.
You like to check?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Okay.
So this provides a very useful information for those who are also interested in water conservation. You know, there are talks about the agri industry taking the bulk of the water.
So it's January.
So that even if you are allowing water stress of 25%, and you see that your yield is not impacted and the crop is not being stressed, with this model, you
Shall
can
we
try
take it
to
with
see,
50%?
or exactly, you can try to see if you reduce it to maybe 50% or 25%, in which case you are trying to increase the stress and conserving water. If it doesn't still affect the yield, you might as well not opt to irrigate, right? I don't know if this makes sense.
No.
Okay, I'm saying that for this particular experiment, we are seeing that we are allowing a stress of 25% before we irrigate, right? We realize that there is big discussions about water conservation and how the agri industry is taking a lot of water
ب5% منه.
by speaking.
Yes.
So now
بس
we are
فمسترسي
allowing it to be
فكرة.
stressed to 25%, and we are not seeing a change in yield, or water stress is not shown in the model. Then, to balance aggressive water conservation, you can opt to modify the water stress, like he's saying, what about 50%? So after running for 50% and you see that still the yield is not affected, then it can inform you to rather reduce the water that you are applying if your yield is not affected. Does it make sense? So balance between food security and water conservation so that you do not waste the water, because we are seeing that even if we stress it for 25 days, our yield is good and the plant is not being stressed. So here you can do some trial and error to see the point at which the plant will be stressed, so that at that level only you will decide to apply water.
أو يعني يتنكروا ነገር አለ يتنكروا ነገር
Yeah, the challenge is that the crop is much stressed with temperature. So,
ልክፈተው እንዴ? ሀምሳ አይደለም 25 እኮ
የለም
ይኸው እኮ ለሰኝ ይኸው የታለ
يعني ቀያይረዋል
ይኸው 0.25
የለውም
የለውም ቢያንስ እኮ 0.1 ላድርገው
ራሱ ማለት እያደረገልህ ያለ የማይመስል ነገር አለ
የለውም የሆነ ስህተት አለው ይሄ እኮ በቃ 0 ነው
90% ስትረስ
0.1 ማለት 90% ስትረስ
በዛ ላይ ደግሞ የእንትን ፔሪድ የለቀባቸዋል ጃንዋሪ ላይ እስከ ማርች
በጣም ቦና በሆነ ሰዓት
የተገለጸ
ደግሞ አማራ ደግሞ ዳንግላ አካባቢ ሞዴሬተር ተረድቶ ስራውን መስራት ከባድ ነው። አካባቢ ጋር ማች ላይ ያደረግ
moving the irrigation without any irrigation, you know, without any irrigation. This operation now is without irrigation. There is no irrigation, and if you run it, these are the water stress days without irrigation. Okay, without irrigation. So this is not much days. So just
one day in
or 2 days in the cropping season. So I'm thinking that the weather from February to I don't know to let's see the weather. The weather has some
the weather
rainfall.
sheet weather sheet we run them
This is the baseline that we run. I'm thinking we use the maybe it is 002 or 003.
ያለ ኢሪጌሽን ይመጣል። ያለ ኢሪጌሽን ስትረስ ይመጣል።
ትንሽ በሙት ኮራንት ከሞተር ስትረስ በሳምንት
አይ ኢማጂነሪ ዳታዎቹ ሜቢ
ኢማጂነሪ አይደለም ትክክለኛ ላይ ያለው
So if you check, for example,
ይሄ በጣም ትንሽ ነው።
yeah, so the rainfall data is this one, right? This is the TCP data. So it looks we have let's see from February, right? We started by the February to when it was planted, when it was harvested. Can you tell me the date of harvest?
it's 5 in the first month
5?
in the
May 30?
the first date of the fourth month
First date of May?
ከሜይ በፊት ያለው አፕሪል ነው መሰለኝ ፈርስት ኦፍ አፕሪል ላይ
First of April.
ይሄ ነው
So even the rainfall is not that much.
2.3 millimeter of rainfall in one day.
How
Which
much?
is actually 2.3 millimeter rainfall.
That's half irrigation.
That is negligible, not half. Because if you calculate the effective rainfall, it's not even considered an effective rainfall because it's less than 5 millimeter. It will not reach the root zone.
Yeah. From 1991 also
አይ የተለካው ነገር ይኖራል።
we calculate this from February to
ኢዲት አፔክስ ኢዲት ተባብሶ የተለካው ነገር አንተ የራስህ
April, right?
አፔክስ ኢዲት ነው ወይስ እሱ የሰጠህ ነው የተጠቀመው? አንተ የተጠቀምከው
about
ራስህ
10 millimeter. So the other is from 1992 from February so yeah, so the rainfall is not much until the end of on 1992 has some 67 millimeter.
But the harvest is before the rainy days.
What?
The harvest is before the rainy days. 1st of April, I think we harvest.
First of April. Yeah. So the challenge that I was looking is that in the in this file, if you see in the output file, where is the sub area file? So in this case, if you see, there is huge temperature stress there. What Apex does is, if there is a huge temperature stress or any other stress as compared to the other stress levels, then it diminishes relatively. Okay, the other water, maybe if there is small amount of water stress level. So if the temperature stress is very high, then it's not going to have the real water stress state.
Maybe
So
the cause, but it doesn't seem real also. The temperature.
this one,
It doesn't seem real.
does it seem what?
It doesn't seem real. The temperature stress is also. It seems it have a problem too.
Yeah, on the temperature stress state. So the temperature stress state looks very high.
Yes.
So I
Because
was
in that period, I don't think we will have that much temperature stress from February to April.
so that depends on the probe type and also the base temperature stress comes from the optimal and base
Sure,
temperature.
it
Yeah.
depends. But actually, for example, if we take a Napier, it's the base temperature is 40 centigrade and the maximum is 25. But in Amhara region, most of the time from February.
For tomato?
For example, I take
Okay.
the Napier grass. The base temperature, the minimum temperature is 4 and the maximum optimal temperature is 25.
So you are
So
talking about Napier.
tomato will not be that much different.
No, tomato is different from Napier.
Yes, different, but not that much different. We may check it in the base.
So I was checking here on the crop database
Yes,
for tomato.
77 or 78.
Here, so it was 27.
The maximum, the top
Yeah.
one. Yes,
And the minimum was 5.
5. So from April to February to April, actually the temperature will not fall below that.
Let's see if we improve this one, for example, because that is the one that we like to. Does it increase or does it decrease?
Temperature will open now.
So
Uh-huh.
decrease it. You see now the water stress states are coming, but at the cost of temperature stress. The temperature stress states are now getting lower. So as the temperature stress gets lower, you get to see the real water stress state. But if one of them looks very, uh, outlier stress level, then it gets to diminish the other water stress level. Let's try and change, for example, the date and the crop probably. Let's see and how it's behaving and see how it's behaving. We don't have also here, so let's do, for example, let's do plantation in
Irrigation ነው ተፈቀደ
so let's do plantation where let's do plantation March, for example. March is the same.
But very regular.
So the rainy season starts from
very
June.
good.
So let's say let us see the other crops. Let's see, for example, the onion, and let's assume that the potential GP is 1006. So we planted in February and harvested in the same day. So let's override the same thing, for example, and see the effect. So the water stress days are not much as well, and we have a lot of temperature stress days. That's carrot, right? One, the onion. The water stress days are not much as well, but only temperature stress is very high. So I'm thinking there is a problem in our weather file, because without irrigation we cannot plant, right? In the dry season, the stress days should be very high, and one yeah, the shift for the I think the problem is with the data that we have. For this value. Check. Alright. Yeah. Okay. And let's say